All right, everybody. I'm so thrilled for this episode. Joining me now, singer-songwriter Amber Ais. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was telling you off air, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
And when I saw the video I ran across your Instagram because I'm also friends with Caleb
Yeah.
Leduc, and
Yeah. Yeah.
then I know you guys did Green Eyes, and I was like, wait a
hmm
minute. I haven't had her on the podcast yet. Let me hit her up and see if she'd come on the show. And I appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm glad you discovered my stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I was
kind of
like,
refreshing.
and then when
Yeah.
I went on YouTube, I'm like, Ordinary, that's a freaking Bob. Like, damn, it deserves all the views
Thank
it's got
you.
and then some. It's not
No,
enough.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So talk about your journey. I know you're from Boston originally,
Yeah.
and
Like,
what have you been doing lately? And talk about the recent story you have in music.
yeah, for sure. My journey has been, it feels like a really long one, but also it feels like I'm just getting started. I mean, I grew up 30 minutes south of Boston in like a small suburban, very normal town. My parents are immigrants. And I've just always loved to sing, like ever since I was a kid. Um, yeah, I've just always loved to sing. I always loved to write songs. Like when I was really, really young. I was actually just talking about this on like a different podcast, but
I
um,
feel like I put your name in Google just for curiosity. I feel like you've done a
mhm.
lot of podcasts.
I've done like two. I've done a couple, but I started writing songs when I was like 9-ish. I want to say around 9 or 8. Um, and I would like take a journal outside during recess and like write songs, which is like kind of lame. I always say that it's like kind of lame a little bit because I should have just been a normal kid and playing with everybody else, but I was being emo. And writing about my feelings and writing songs on the playground.
So was
And
that like sorry to cut you off, but was that like emo as in type the genre of music emo?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay. I'm
I
about
didn't
to say, or
discover
like,
that. I mean, like emo, like
are we talking
I
about like
mean,
you
emo,
writing
like I
emo
was a
lyrics
very
on a?
emotive, very sensitive child, and I don't think that's really changed much. But I think I was very in tune with my feelings. I was a deep feeler. I had a lot of things to say, which didn't make sense because I wasn't even going through anything. What was I writing about? I don't know what songs I was writing, but I was writing them. And started kind of there, and then in high school my parents bought me a guitar for Christmas, and I really started viewing music as like a career then, I started gigging a little bit at like these random dive bars. I remember there's this one gig I had where I was like in this random dive bar, and like my band was just like a group of like 40-year-old men, and I was like 16. Like thinking about it now, it's like a little bit funny, but like I don't know, I just kind of had that dog in me. I just like really wanted to like make music all the time, and I was trying my best to do that in whatever capacity I could, being from like this small little town that I grew up in. And then I went to college for music. And I released my first EP in 2017. It's called Seattle. And then what else happened? Oh yeah, then after college I like stayed home for a bit. The pandemic happened. I wrote an album. And that was really fun. And then I moved to Nashville in 2021. Started kind of getting my feet wet there, and I released my album, and that was really cool. And I've just been kind of grinding, writing, releasing in Nashville ever since. So,
Any interest in labels or anything like that?
any interest in labels?
Like for you, like would you say yay or nay to like
I mean,
I'm talking about like sign like legit
what I
top
sign,
level, yeah.
if the deal is correct, if the deal is right, if it's the right timing for it, then absolutely I would. I think if I have um a, a good team of people who believe in me, and a label with the right deal, and the right thing for me, then like for sure. I feel like at this point in my career, um it being indie is fun because you kind of have creative control over stuff, but
Hmm.
I think the hard part is that you do end up doing everything by yourself. You're your own manager, your own agent, you're your own everything, you're your own funding, and I think the cool part of a label is that they do help out with those things, that so that you don't have to wear every single hat and you can just be an artist, or a writer. But I do love being indie. I do love I don't know, I really do kind of love working my ass off, because I feel like it's a little more rewarding. Not saying that artists who are signed aren't working their asses off, but to
Yeah, I
say,
know.
yeah.
I know I've had this conversation with a couple artists lately, and I know
Mm-hmm.
life rights are a big thing, and just rights in
Right.
general of either, I want to go this way. Well, no, you signed this deal for such and such, and we want you to do this. So
Right.
it's
I
either
mean,
this
I'm
or get off the
I'm
pot, you know?
right. It's it's honestly like a choose your hard kind of thing. It's like, do you want to stay indie forever and do everything by yourself and fund everything by yourself? Or um do you want to sign and maybe not own everything the way that you used to, and still have this sort of stuff? Like, of course, like if it's a nightmare deal, then like of course I'm not signing. I'm praying that I have the discernment to not sign a nightmare of a deal,
Mhm.
But um I don't know. It really just depends on if it's the right one, you know. So,
Talk to me about more about growing up in Boston. What's the scene like there, music scene and everything?
you would think that there was like a bigger and better music scene because of Berkeley being there, but honestly, like there really isn't much of a scene. The industry doesn't really live over there.
Mm,
I think there's a lot of cool venues, and like, yeah, I think there's a lot of cool venues, but I wouldn't say
yeah,
there's like a scene. There's no one like writing with each other over there, or like, you know, like putting on shows like that. There's not
I
really a
got
lot
you.
of like, at least I don't think or remember like a lot of like
Probably
local.
like open mics or like, hey, you come on in for this dive
Yeah,
bar.
I think it's kind of more of like that kind of vibe. It's not like Nashville or LA where everyone's hustling and everyone's trying to make it and everyone's trying to write with each other and get a cut on that stuff. It's not like that at all over there. I think it is kind of, I mean, it's a city, but I'm not saying, but I don't know
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
about like
They're
the
all about their
scene.
sports and,
Yeah, it's a very like
how are the Sox
people.
doing? How are
No, yeah, it's like there's a lot of like finance bros or something, and like, yeah,
Socks and Pats and everything like
yeah, a lot
that.
of a lot of people who are in Boston, a lot of people who grow up there just end up staying there. A lot of
Hmm.
people who like a lot of people I know who grew up where I live, they all kind of like stayed there, which was
Yeah,
like my biggest fear.
the episode before this, I interviewed someone from Philly, and she's still there, and she kind of gives a similar sentiment about Philadelphia scene.
Yeah.
Is that it's a little underground. I mean, Boston's underground, but I'm just saying, like the Philly scene is just like super underground. She was talking about like it was just jazz. Do you ever get any jazz that way?
I feel like there's definitely jazz clubs there, but it again, I no one's getting discovered over there. At least I don't
Hmm.
think. You know,
Right.
people aren't really looking at Boston to see if there's any music over there, or see if there's
Gotcha.
any artists over there.
Gotcha.
Um,
So what was the timeline on your move to Nashville? Talk
mhm.
about like was Ordinary? Did you write Ordinary while you were over there?
Yeah. The story about Ordinary is a little bit funny. I was watching this movie with my mom and my little sister. There's this movie series called To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And in the second movie, like the main character guy, he like shows up at the main character girl. Like her whole thing, her one of the main things about her character is that she can't drive. She's like a bad at driving. And in the second movie, the guy that she's dating, he's like teaching her how to drive in the snow. And I can relate to that because I hate the snow and I also can't drive. Well, I can, I'm just not good at it. I have the
The
paper that says I can.
quality, the
I
quality of
meet the
driving.
the quality of driving is not there. But I have the legal document that says I am legally I can operate a motor vehicle. Okay, that anyway. All
I
that to
live
say,
in I live in Florida. Enough said.
you know, I think who said you have to be good at driving? Like, as long as I don't kill somebody, I feel like I'm fine, and I respect the rules of the road. I hope the
Yeah.
police are not watching this. Anyway, all I'm saying is that, um, so he like helps her drive or whatever, and then at the end of the movie he like it starts snowing outside and she realizes she's in love with him, and he like picks her up and he's like, I know you hate driving in the snow. And so I wrote down, after seeing that scene, I wrote down, I hate the snow, but with you it's confetti. And I just kind of started writing from there. And again, I started writing this album, the song that Ordinary's on, in quarantine. So it was like 2020, I was just kind of writing a lot, and so I wrote Ordinary in quarantine.
Hmm.
It was just me stripped acoustic, and that was it. And then yeah, I kept writing a lot. I met up with my friend Greg, who produced my whole album. Shout out to Greg. Hope you're well.
Shout out
Thank
to
you.
Greg. I don't know who
Yes.
Greg is, but shout
He
out to
made
Greg.
Shout out to Greg. He made Ordinary sound the way it is. Cause I remember I brought it in our session and I was like, um, he was like, what if we like made this like 80s a little bit? Like, because a lot of my songs are very guitar heavy. A lot of my songs they start off like very stripped back, just like the raw version of it is just like me guitar, you know.
Hmm.
And I was thinking of maybe keeping it stripped that way, and he was like, no, what if we like overproduced it? And so there's like barely any like sort of element of acoustic on there. And
Right.
I actually am so glad that it ended up being the song that it is, um because it's produced so well. He produced the hell out of it, and it sounds so good. So
Shout out to Greg.
shout out to
Um,
Greg. He's the best.
I I like to get meanings of lyrics. That's
Mm-hmm.
something I do on this show,
Okay.
and I just want to continue that. If you're cool with that.
Absolutely. Love
The
talking.
you are the beauty and the ordinary. Aren't those
Mm-hmm.
like not oxymorons, but I mean beauty and ordinary. I
Right.
mean,
Yes, it's a little oxymoronic, I would say. Um, but the point of the song is like, um, I guess like I assume that when you're in love, when you love people, um, that like mundane things somehow are beautiful. You know what I mean? And I
mm,
think when I wrote "You Make My Bitter Days Become So Sweet," I hate the snow, but with you it's confetti. It's like I'm seeing these things that annoy me, or these things that are not cute and not beautiful, as these beautiful celebratory things, like seeing snow as confetti. And I hate the snow, but with you, it's confetti. You made an optimist right out of me. You are the beauty in the ordinary.
see, look
Yeah,
at
like,
you getting right back into
yeah,
the song. I could just
right,
see it.
right. You made an optimist right out of me. It's like I think you kind of see things differently when you spend your days with people you love. Like
Mhm.
sitting on the couch feels different when you're with someone you love, or going to the grocery store. Um, like that feels different when you're with someone. I think one of my favorite lines in that song specifically is when I say, your jokes aren't funny, but I like the way you tell them,
No,
because I'm fully
that's a really
convinced.
good line. I gotta keep that.
Thank you. I said your jokes aren't funny, but I like the way you tell them, because I'm fully convinced that I'm funnier than every guy I've ever dated. So like a lot of guys
Mm.
to me aren't funny. It's like they're funny by accident because they're
But
not really like, I don't know what it is, but again,
but
it's like,
because I get what you're saying, because you're
yeah.
into them and because the chemistry is there,
Yeah, it's
that
like you're funny to me now.
but I'll laugh because I see where
It's
you're
like,
coming from.
you're
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? But no man is ever gonna be
But
funnier than
out
me.
of context, it's all about context.
I mean, I'm not saying that I date guys who are unfunny, but
No,
they're
I see what
never
you're
gonna
saying.
be funnier than me.
I
Like,
see.
there's
Well,
no man on this earth.
I think I'm funny, and people tell me I'm not all the time. So I
Oh,
I,
I'm
I hear
sorry.
you. No,
Oops, I'm so sorry.
no, I think I tried too hard. But anyways, it's all about the punchline.
Right. As
Um,
long as the timing is there, I feel like that's really what makes a good joke, you know?
Is that what led to crying over boys? Is that what you're?
That's a great
Is this all?
segue.
Is
That's
this
a
all?
great segue. I love
That's why
that
I've been
my
doing. That's why I've
one
been doing this podcast for multiple years.
my brand is like, I'm not gonna lie, my brand is being funny. Like my brand, not my brand, just like who I am as a person is like, I think every guy I've ever asked, I've been like, hey, so like what's your favorite thing about me? And they always say that I'm funny. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, dang, so you think I'm ugly? Just kidding. See? That was a joke. Ha
But
ha 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 ha
yeah,
ha. Get it?
I mean,
Right.
that's hilarious.
Thank you. Okay. So when I wrote Crying Over Boys, I think that situation, I think I that situation to me was like very embarrassing.
Well, yeah,
To
you're getting too old to do it, right? You know,
yeah,
with
it
the,
feels like felt like I was, too old for this. I was too old to be experiencing heartbreak and experiencing grief in this way. And it was just tiring. It felt embarrassing and all of those things. Um, and so I said, you made a joke out of me, but I guess you always said I was funny. And I think that was like a cheeky way of me saying, like, I guess I should have saw this coming, or a cheeky way to be like, hey, like you really embarrassed me, you know?
right.
And I think if I'm gonna be anything, I'm gonna be honest and I'm gonna be funny. And I think that line kind of embodies that.
I feel like humor is one of those things that can break down any barriers, like any, you know,
Mm-hmm. I think
comedy.
I try to have a sense of humor about a lot of things. I think in the midst of the pain, it definitely wasn't funny, but like now when I look back on it, there are so many things that I'm like, that was comical. I think um
Right.
once you move forward and you heal and all the things, you're able to kind of, I don't know, you're able to look back on things and laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think one of my superpowers is finding the humor in like
Mhm.
everything. So,
I know this won't surprise you when I'm about to say that a
mhm.
majority of my guests have been performing in Nashville. I know that's shocking, right?
Right. I
But
bet it is. I bet it is so shocking to find a
why,
musician
yeah.
here.
Why the move? Is it just because the music scene, like, you
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like the answer that I get a lot.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I was kind of thinking about a couple different areas. I knew it was time to move. There was just something inside of me being like, I have to get out of this, my hometown, where I'm just never going to see anything
Hmm.
besides here. I think quarantine just kind of reiterated the fact that I was locked up in my house in my suburban town, and I loved my friends there. I love the people I was around. I love my church and all of that. But I knew that like there was more for me than just where I was at. So um, I was thinking about LA, but everyone I knew who moved to LA, um, they would tell me like don't go there. They
Yeah.
would say things, people would like feel like they lost themselves for a minute.
I
And
know
I
you'll
think,
be surprised. That's number two on
yeah,
my
LA
list
is
of
definitely number two.
on my list of guests. It's Nashville and then LA. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, I bet. And so I think I have such a strong sense of who I am and my values and what I represent. I don't want to ever lose that, you know. Um and then I was like, well, Nashville feels like the place to be. So I ended up moving.
Yeah. I like one of the reasons, many reasons I like podcasting. One is just it's fun for me. I like to interview people and it's just
Right.
something I enjoy doing. Another one is I interview mostly independent artists, so to hear all these stories is just it's so awesome to like to see these people that are taking risks that I don't know if I would, like straight up moving like across the
Right.
country in some cases. Like
Right.
wow. Like I like and it's not just music. I interviewed a model
Oh,
and
that's cool.
she moved like three different times. So
Wow.
she
Okay.
did like LA, New York, and then forgot where else. She's not Julia, if you're listening somehow, but she's not. But I I forgive not knowing all the places. But anyways, I'm just saying like artists in general,
Hmm.
you know. So shout out to the people that do that because I don't, like I said, I don't know if I could. What did you, what was the biggest surprise, or is it what you thought it was? Like,
The biggest surprise.
yeah, like surprise. Like, were you surprised about it, or was it like you thought it would be going into the move?
Um, Not really. I mean, there were some surprises for sure. I mean, I think that the industry feels tangible, which is surprising, but it also feels far at the same time. I feel like you're always 1 degree away from something, or
Well, explain
networking is
that.
such a,
Expound on that. I'm curious.
I mean, in the age of the internet, in the age of people knowing each other and all of that, I feel like there was always like one person you could meet who is like an A&R at a label and you wouldn't even know it really. Like if I was in Boston, the odds of me meeting an A&R would be like 1 in a million almost. But like
Hmm.
here, it's like almost a lot of people are A&Rs. And it's almost rare to meet people who aren't in the industry or don't make music at all. And so so it's almost like it's not surprising to meet other artists and meet other people who also make music. I think it's surprising to meet like industry people and like get a coffee with an A&R or someone who works at an actual label and not just like someone who says they have a label and they don't really have one. You know what I mean? It's like,
You get that a
oh, like
lot?
what?
People that say they're in like
There was
in
a
a
there was a
company and they're
moment
not.
there was a moment in time where someone was reaching out to me or like you just get a lot of or at least for me I feel like I get a lot of scam emails from people who are like
Hmm.
doing stuff and then I look and I have to pay them like $1,000 just to have
Right.
a meeting with them or
Right.
something and it's like
Well, I
that's
found you
not
through
real.
Caleb, so shout out to
I
Caleb
love that.
Leduc.
Shout out to Caleb Leduc. Hope
Yeah.
you're well. I don't know why I said
We're
that
gonna
like I
get to
had
that.
that
We're gonna
connection.
get to that. We're gonna get to that
Oh
song, by the
God.
way.
Okay, great. And so yeah, the industry feels tangible, yet it feels far away just because you can get coffee with an A&R and that person could talk to you talk about you to their label, but it still takes like years for them to even like catch on. For example, my friend's manager in 20 I want to say 2011 or like 2014, John Bellion sent my friend's manager his demos like 10 years ago. And his label that he worked at was like, no, we don't want him, which is crazy
Dang, that
because that's
is.
John Bellion.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
John Bellion is the GOAT. Like he is my GOAT. I know he's not like old or anything, but John Bellion is like one of the greatest songwriters,
I don't
greatest
think
artists
that's a super hot
ever.
take. I don't think
I mean,
that's.
no, he's listen, like I know. I respect that man. I think he's so great at what he does, and he's like he's the goat. He has like the Midas touch on everything, and I like love him so much. And he yeah, like my friend's manager, who at the time I think he worked for like Sony Music or something like that. And John Bellion in 2014 sent him his demos and he sent it to his label, and the label said no, which is insane because look at who John Bellion is today. And so you have to think about like people and I know that there are people who are vouching for me on like different sides of the industry, like on the Christian side and like the pop side as well. Like I know that labels are like
Hmm.
heads of labels probably have heard my music before. They probably just don't want me right now. But
Any
I'm gonna have the last laugh. I
any
promise you.
offers? Any offers from reality TV shows? What? That's a
No.
legitimate question. That's a
I would never, I don't think I would ever go on a reality TV show. I'm not
So I mean
I'm
The
not cut out
Voice.
for
That's
it.
what I mean for those listening that don't know what I meant.
Oh,
Oh, you thought I meant like Big Brother or something like
I
that?
thought you meant like Love is Blind or something, or like
Oh,
Love Island. I wouldn't.
no.
I'm not cut out for those kinds of
The
shows. I'm
Voice is
not.
they're reality TV. It is a
That is
lot.
tea.
There's
That is
some
true.
they're they're more staged than people think.
Right. It's okay.
So
I don't know.
would you ever do The Voice? Would you ever do AGT? Would you ever do what's the
I
one that America's Got Talent?
have no clue. I've thought about it. Like I'm sure it's been a thought in my brain. Um, but I'm not necessarily sure if I would actually go for it, actually. Because I'm trying to think about anyone who is on, like, because the thing is, those talent shows, they're not the same as they used to be. Like, like back in the
Hmm.
day, like when you won American Idol, like everyone knows who Kelly Clarkson is.
Well,
When
yeah,
you won
she's
American Idol, it gave her a career, it gave her the life that she has
talk
today.
show.
She's
She transcended music.
yay, Grammy, Grammys, tours, like amazing
Mm.
vocalist first and foremost. But I think it's different now in the age of the internet where you don't need to be on American Idol to get out of your hometown. You can literally just put a video on TikTok or Instagram and the same thing can happen to you. You know what I mean? And I think um I'm not necessarily, the door isn't shut on The Voice, but it's also not like open. Like I'm kind of like either or. Like if the timing was right and if I was like, oh, I guess I'll do it, then I
Yeah.
do it. But
Mm.
um
I've heard the stories, and most of them are horror stories, so I don't think you're
oh
missing.
Jesus. Well,
As you
I
could
don't really
probably
know.
imagine, since I interview independent artists, I've heard a story or two about people getting on. I had someone that got on and made it to the second round of The Voice. I had someone that got, for lack of a better word, screwed. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I fully trust those kinds of TV shows, but
that's why I called them reality TV because
right. I mean, I guess technically they would be. I don't really think about them. I don't categorize like TV shows as reality TV, but now that I think about it, it kind of is. But I'm not sure. I'm not necessarily sold on it, but I also am like, well,
yeah, okay.
whatever.
All right, so we talked about Ordinary.
Hmm.
That I feel like that got your most views on like online or whatever. Did you get a lot of traction after that?
I feel like my followers definitely went up, and um I think there are people who still reach out to me about that song, which I'm like eternally grateful for.
It is a banger.
It
I
is
won't,
it's a pretty good one, I would say. I'm not gonna lie, it's a good song. If I can say that.
of
But
course,
um and I
you don't
think,
work your ass off and not be able to,
okay, I have to maybe pat myself on
pat
the back
yourself
for
on the
that
back a
one.
little bit.
Yeah, not to toot my own horn, but
I get all the humble people on here, but then I have to like pry out the like I'm like, no,
it's a
you
decent
deserve to
song.
have some praise
Okay,
during an
yes.
interview, you know?
Okay, thank you. The song is good. I like that song. Yeah.
That's
So,
why the interview to get people credit because I feel like not enough podcasts interview independent artists.
right. That's so true. I think it's hard to like
It's
get
getting bigger
yourself.
now. There are podcasts that just interview independent artists, but
Yeah.
when I first started interviewing independent artists about like
Hmm.
2 or 3 years ago, there wasn't that many of us.
Right. For sure. But thank you for reaching out to me or any artist. I think um any sort of way to be able to like promote
I've
music or
interviewed
even just
everybody.
talk about stuff.
I've interviewed. I know I'm patting myself on the back. I have an ego, but I've interviewed people from all over the country, Amber. I interviewed someone, and I mean all over the country. I
Okay.
interviewed someone from Oregon. I interviewed someone from Montana.
Mm-hmm.
I've interviewed someone from, I think those are the main, the main two, like obscure states. Now,
Right.
I just offended two big states saying, what you called Oregon obscure?
It's a little bit obscure.
With the
I forget
PDF
that that's
file of
even a
why it's
state.
not obscure, you know? Like this is why Oregon's not obscure.
Yeah, right.
But you know what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah,
outside the box of the norm,
right.
ordinary,
Right,
like we were talking
exactly.
about.
Great
So
segue. Great
yeah,
segue.
but the majority of them are Nashville. Either
Yes.
there, I got in with a couple of agencies. That's how I actually got Caleb on the podcast.
Oh, T. Okay,
Was
cool.
I got well, Samantha, I don't know if
Oh, Sam.
yep.
Yeah. For
She
sure.
she linked me with him and
Period.
Spencer while they were doing their promotion.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
helped me a few times on getting guests and stuff.
Yeah, Sam is cool. She's very nice.
So, and then also I think Dead Horse Branding also.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't know if you know, but it's similar. They're an agency in
Oh, for
Nashville.
sure. Okay.
So but yeah, so anyways, I didn't mean to get all like selfish talking about myself. This isn't
No,
about
this
me.
is
This is
also your
about you.
podcast.
Well, I mean, no, but it's about spotlighting because when I did research, it's like you've been on the internet a while. I saw an interview from you from like 6 years ago or something.
Really?
I'm like, yeah,
Girl, I forgot.
I'm like, oh my God,
Who was I
you're
talking
like
to? Do you
a
remember?
hold on. You're like a like budding young superstar.
Really? Me?
Yeah, you're like I just graduated something. I didn't listen to the whole
Oh
thing, but
my gosh. When?
I didn't listen to the
I'm
whole
trying
thing.
to
Now
think.
I'm trying to
I feel
find
like I
this.
don't. The thing about that is that I feel like I don't get interviewed often. So when I do, I'm like, oh, okay. And then see,
Hold
that's
on.
how little I get interviewed because it's like if the one you discovered was from 6 years ago and I don't even remember it, I don't get
I
interviewed
think it was
often.
6.
It had to
I
have
don't
been a while
know.
ago because even I don't remember it. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be here. I'll
You
get
could be
that. Yeah, I'll get that back to you or get back to you on that. See, I'm
It's totally
flustered.
fine. Don't
But
worry about
I
it.
will find it and I am gonna send it to you on Instagram.
For sure. I would love to hear what I had to say 6 years
But
ago.
I don't want to take too much of your time by looking for an old interview.
No, it's okay. Now I'm curious.
You
Probably gonna
want me
look
to? I
for
mean, if
it.
you really want me
No, no,
to.
no, 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 not right now. I'm probably gonna go find it on my own time. I don't want to cringe on air because I don't know what I said.
I'll play an
No, no, no,
audio
no, no,
piece
no,
of
no, 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 no. Please don't do that.
I just graduated last year and like I'm like, "Oh, okay, this person's been in the spotlight for a while."
That is so crazy. It must have been so long
Some
ago.
girl interviewed you.
Some
Now I'm
girl?
curious. Now
I'm
I'm
trying to
curious.
think. Okay, we'll talk about this later. You could just show me another time. But
Yeah, yeah. We'll
let's talk
move
about
on.
me
We'll move
today.
on.
I'm scared. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So we're moving on.
sure.
Outside of music, like what do you
Hmm.
do in Nashville? Like what other hobbies do you have?
What other hobbies do I have? That's such a terrible question to ask because I don't think I
What?
have other hobbies. I really don't do anything but make music. It's like I go to the all I do is go to the gym, go to church, go to work, and make music. That's those are the four things that I do. Maybe I'll go like hang out with my friends. That sounds like I do nothing. But like honestly, I've never liked to do anything but make music. I mean, I guess if I want to count this, I like cooking. Um, I really do like to cook. I like to um I feel like when I cook it is like it's a little bit therapeutic for me. I think it's a great way for me to just get in touch with myself and it's another form of creativity, you know?
What kind of food are we talking about here? Filet mignon,
Um
steaks,
Girl, no, never
burgers.
that. Never. I can make a good burger for sure. I can make a mean cheeseburger. And
No, I was being facetious, but
no, I
on
know,
the
but I
filet
can make a
mignon.
good I mean, I cannot make filet mignon, but I can do a good salmon. I can do salmon for sure. I love making salmon and chicken mostly. I can make a really mean um like lentil pasta with ground turkey and tomato sauce, like that kind of vibe. Um Brussels sprouts are my new one
Brussels
right now.
sprouts.
Yeah, I'm
I've
gonna try to make
I've heard
like
that a coworker of mine actually brought up Brussels sprouts. This is weird. Life
they're a
works like
fall
that.
they are a
I just heard about
fall
Brussels sprouts
vegetable.
yesterday. No cap. Like
Listen, I
this
love a little Brussels sprout. I'm not gonna hold you.
like like for real. I'm like this can't be the second day I've heard about. I told her to put habanero seasoning on them.
I mean, I feel like that would work. It depends on how
Habanero
much you're
Brussels
putting.
sprouts.
Maybe a spicy
You
little
should
Brussels.
Google
Yeah.
that too, along with your old interview. You know,
Right,
I'm
right,
giving you homework like back in
right. I'm
school.
gonna do that right after habanero Brussels sprouts and
And the old interview.
Old Amber Ace interview and habanero Brussels sprouts for sure.
Yeah, do it. So we don't have to talk much about it if you don't want to. But what were you? What brought together this collaboration with Caleb Leduc with Green Eyes?
Green eyes. Oh, that's so sweet. So I accidentally met Caleb on TikTok. Like I want to say it was like end of summer, early fall of last year. I think one of his videos, well, I don't think, I know. One of his videos came up on my For You page because you know how like sometimes TikTok will just like show you
Right.
people in your area or
Just like every other
yeah, just
app.
like random artists and stuff like that. So one of
Mm.
his videos came up and I was like, oh, this song is like really good. Um, yeah, I was like, oh, this song is really, really good. And so I was just like looking at his videos and I was like, oh, these are really good. But a lot of this time when I find an artist on TikTok, I don't like care. No offense to the artists on TikTok. Like I'll like find artists, but then like I won't really follow them or I won't really follow up. I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. And so I like this is so funny. But I like looked at his stuff and I was like, all right. And I didn't really like, I had no intention on following him, but I scrolled up and my finger acts, I'm so serious, hand to God, I accidentally hit follow. And I was like, oh no, I can't. I was like,
Are you
maybe he's not gonna notice. Maybe he's not gonna notice. But then like literally like 2 minutes later on Instagram, he DM'd me and he was like, hey Amber, like, thank you so much for following me on. I wish I want to find the message. I don't remember it, but he was like, "Oh, thanks so much for the follow. Like, I heard your music and you're so good. I would
I
love to write
mean,
with
I
you
can't
sometime."
blame him. I mean,
I was
I
like,
would do the same thing. Like,
and I was like, "So, am I gonna tell this guy that I did not actually intend on following him, or am I supposed to say, hey, actually, I followed you by accident? Like, was I supposed to say that?" And I was like, I'm not gonna say that. And then I was like, well, his music is good enough for me to like write with him. So I was like, for sure, like we should write. And so we became friends and we were writing and we wrote a lot of stuff. And we had one session where I remember I was like dating this dude and I was like, and he just kept being like, I'm like kind of a jealous person. Like I'm really sensitive. And like we were just kind of, you know, like what you're getting to know someone, you're like talking about like what you're like or like what you
right.
don't like and all those things. And he was like, I'm like a jealous person and blah, 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 blah. He's like, are you like a jealous person? And I was like, no, not really. And he was like, really? And I was like, no, I feel like if someone likes me, then they like me. And that's really it. They were like, oh, really? And I was like,
But there's a
yeah, I'm like, you know,
line though, you
there's
know?
a line for sure. There's a healthy kind of jealousy for sure. But I'm not the type of girl to like look through your phone or anything like that. Like I'm really not like don't give me a reason to feel insecure, but like that's really it. So I was just kind of telling him that. And so this person I was dating, they had green eyes. And so I was like, how can I like think about that? I was like, green eyes, there is an idea in there. And so I wrote down, baby got green eyes. He a little jealous. And then me and Caleb had a session and we started writing a different idea, but the idea wasn't really working out because some sessions are like that. And so he's like, do you have anything else you want to write? And I was like, well, I have this idea that I wrote. And he was like, what is it? And I wrote and I said, it says, baby got green eyes. He a little jealous. And he's like, that is fire. That is such a good idea. And I was like, period. And then we basically just like wrote that whole song that day and it was cool. So
When did it release? Not too long ago, right?
not too long ago, July 19th, I think, for sure.
You guys gonna do anything like else, any other collab? Or you think
I
that's a
mean, I hope so. I mean, I think we did write a different song for, I don't know if he's like releasing another project, but we did write another song that I really, really like. I really
mm.
hope he decides on releasing it, but I really, really like it. And um, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's up to him. It's up to his
You should tell him you
artist.
came on the podcast today. You should bring
Yeah.
up Sensibly Cynical. He'll remember.
Yeah, I bet he will.
It was a good episode.
Yeah,
So you were talking about influences a little bit earlier.
for
Do you have
sure.
a like Mount Rushmore?
Ooh, great question. So only four people.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore. Oh, okay.
Any
Okay.
genre, any just
Okay. Okay.
no holds barred. Just
Okay. My Mount Rushmore of inspiration. Number one, John Mayer. I talk about him too much. He is my dad. Love him to death. Love him so much. John Mayer, Brandy, Brandy Norwood. She's the vocal Bible, and I want just a fraction of her vocal abilities. Oh my gosh. Um, who else? Julia Michaels.
Oh
Absolutely.
wow, I haven't heard that
Great
name in a
writer.
while.
She's incredible. Greatest pop writer alive right now. And I'm not exaggerating. Greatest pop writer alive.
Hey,
Um,
I'm gonna believe you. Oh, you don't gotta tell me
um,
twice. The conviction, I believe it.
yeah. Okay, John Mayer, Brandy, Julia Michaels.
One more.
Do I want to put this person on here? This is a huge deal. Huge deal. This is Mount Rushmore. John Mayer, Brandy, Julia Michaels. I'm gonna put her on there. I'm gonna put her there. Ariana Grande. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
Ariana Grande. Those
that
are
is
my
a hot
four.
take. I could actually put that. That's so hot of a take that I could put that in the description of the episode if I
Hot
wanted
take.
to.
She is on my. I think that there is. I'm telling you right
I don't mean
now.
no disrespect to Ariana
No,
Grande, but I'm just
I
saying all time we're talking.
for me personally today, that is someone that um like I think when it comes to pop hits, like records, vocal ability, I think she's a
Mhm.
great
Would you
artist, vocal ability,
would you put her on the
songs.
same level as Katy Perry?
No, never.
I
No
mean, you said
offense to
all time.
Miss.
Oh,
No
the other
offense.
way. Katy Perry's not. Which way is it? Are they not even close? Like
She
she's above or below?
okay.
Come
I think
on.
here's the thing. I think Katy Perry had her time. She had her time. 27 2007 to 2011, she was in her
No,
prime.
Katy
That was
Perry's
great.
legit. Katy Perry's legit.
She
We're
was
not...
a great, she was writing, she was doing, she was a pop girl for a while. But I think a lot of the time, sometimes, like
time
I'm not
passes.
saying
Time
I'm not
passes
saying
us
she hit
all.
her peak. I just don't know if she made the best artistic choices. That's all I'm gonna say.
Gotcha,
And I
gotcha.
think that that
It's a very legit comparison though.
yeah, I would say. I mean, I feel like they came around like on the back half of Katy
Yeah,
Perry,
you
like
could
maybe
throw
like
you could throw Selena
2011,
Gomez in there. You could throw
like 2011, early 2012. I feel like Ari was coming up maybe, and
yeah.
then like 2014 until
Yeah, I
like
feel like
in
Katy Perry
10
spiked
years.
high and then fell pretty quick.
I mean, sure. I mean, I think when Ariana from 2014
Mm,
to now, like in the last
yeah.
10 years, there hasn't been, to me,
All right, you convinced me, Amber.
there
You
hasn't been
convinced me.
a greater pop girl than her in the last
What
10
was that,
years. And to
Julia? I
me,
do have a Julia Michaels song on my playlist. I gotta figure out what
she's
that
great.
is.
Love her so much.
You
She's
could
the
probably
best.
guess which one it is if I go in her discography
It
and
might be
figure it out.
issues because
Yeah,
that's like
yeah,
one
it
of
is. You got first one. That's a banger
I'm a
song.
stan. I'm a stan. I
That
love
is
her
a
so
banger song.
much.
I
I think
yeah,
she's just a great writer.
I
And she's
actually got
been
that on my iTunes or whatever, where you got paid like the $2 or whatever. But that was
yeah.
that was like years ago when it first came. That when did that come out? It's been a while.
Yeah, I want to say that was like my last year of college,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
like
that's been a while. I ended up
2017,
like people
maybe.
don't pay for stuff anymore, any music on like iTunes and stuff. They find a way, you know?
Right.
But what's your thoughts on last few questions, if that's okay? I don't know how much time you have, but
Yeah, for sure.
okay. What's your thoughts on the auto tune kind of deal?
What do
Like,
you
are
mean?
well, some people are anti auto tune, some people like it, some people are okay with it.
I think there's a time and place for it. I think
That's what I mean.
if you listen to music right now, there is no artist who doesn't use any sort of tuning on their
Hmm.
vocal. I think and in most cases, artists aren't singing everything one take. Like in most cases, they pick the best takes and then morph them together, and that's called comping. If for the listeners out there, like, and so I don't hate autotune. Um I think that it's fine. I think most artists use it in the studio, and even on tour, a lot of artists use it.
Hmm.
So I don't hate it as long as it's like not like
Overbearing.
overbearing or too much. I think that something that I think is cool though, is I I watch Celine Dion's Grammy performance from 1997 all of the time. It's probably like
Hmm.
one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my life. But she sings all by myself. And at the, at the time where she does like the big note where it's like, don't want to be myself anymore. That one, she's sharp
Yeah.
actually in that performance, which is impressive to me because during that time they didn't have like auto tune on the mic, you know,
Yeah.
unlike
I
it was
got you.
live, and she overshot, which is crazy because she's slightly higher than she should be. And I thought it was cool to hear her not be perfect because now we're so used to hearing people be perfect like in a live performance, but she wasn't
Hmm.
perfect. And it was almost more impressive to me because if she was sharp, that means she was singing higher than she was supposed to. And the fact that I could hear that, and the fact that you can hear that and you can hear that imperfection, but for some reason it still was impressive to me. So I love I think autotune is cool, but I love watching older performances because you had to be able to sing live.
Right.
Like you
Right.
had to be able
I'm not,
to do it.
just to be clear, I'm not pro or anti, you know.
You were just curious. I get
I'm
it.
just curious your thoughts.
Right.
I ask that sometimes. Um, Depends on the detail of the conversation, but I've asked it a few times.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge T-Pain guy. I grew up on T-Pain, I'm
I
sprung.
mean,
I'm in love with the
he's the
stripper.
best
I
to ever do
mean,
it, you know?
you know,
He's one of the goats for sure.
like I'm sprung was the anthem when I was a kid. So no need, no shout, no
That was a good one. That's a great song for sure.
yeah, that's an old one. Now people are gonna be listening to this be like, when did that come
Right.
out? I'm sprung. How old are you, man?
Right.
Like,
The fact that that would be considered a throwback is insane to me, but
yeah, I
I
think we're at like
digress.
20 years or something soon on when it
Stop.
came out.
Mm-mm.
I'm s-
I don't like that one.
you're like, I said yes to this guy's interview. Why? He's talking about
I
T-Pain.
He's like now I feel old because we're talking about T-Pain and when those songs came out.
I
It's
mean,
so
I am
crazy.
old. I'm not that old, but I'm old.
Okay.
So, but I'm not like super, super old. I'm a millennium or millennial. I'm a millennial,
Right, yes.
but I'm not like a super, super old millennial.
Okay. Great. I feel like
But
I think I've cusped or
do I
something because
do I look like an old millennial?
do you look like an old millennial?
Be honest.
I don't know what an old millennial looks like. I kind of like forget that people age sometimes. Like, I don't know.
I'm 37.
Oh, okay. No, you don't look like an old millennial.
I don't look 37, do I?
You don't look 37.
I get that a lot. People,
I mean, I didn't think you were
I
37.
tell people I'm 37. They're like, "What?"
I mean, I didn't think you were 37. I wasn't like, oh, that man looks 37.
I know. I don't look
I
it.
thought you were maybe 30, which is,
No, I
hey,
know. It surprises
good.
people. It surprises people. But hey, isn't it better to be look younger than your age? And that
I mean, yeah, I would say so. I think right now I'm okay with aging. I think I'm okay with looking how I look and aging because I think
mhm,
everyone's just trying to be young forever and it's actually scary a little. So,
I got you.
all
All
of
right.
that to say,
Um,
I digress.
are you touring or going to different bars or how are you rest playing at different venues and stuff? Are you doing any of that?
Yeah, I'm playing a couple. I did a couple shows in September at the Cobra and at the East Room, and then I have a show coming up at Flamingo, um, on at like the mid to the end of the month. So that's exciting. I have another show coming up in December. And I'm excited for the one in December because that'll be more of like a full band one. So
Right.
that will be yeah, that'll be super cool. So I'm excited about that.
You got any good stories while you're any good music stories? Any cool person you've met or any good stories you have? I know you do. You went to you're in the Boston scene, you're in Nashville scene. You have to have met someone cool or have a
Met
good story.
someone cool or have a
Yeah,
good
have a good
story.
story.
I have like I mean I guess like I have like a story of like this man was at one of my shows and he was definitely drunk. I have two stories actually. This man was at my show and he was definitely drunk or on something. And he like stood in front of the stage while I was singing and was just like body rolling like the entire
What?
time.
Are you serious?
No, yeah, literally just like body rolling and just like getting lost in the sauce. And like that was like a little bit funny and distracting. Um, well, I guess this one's funny. Like people really like that song Ordinary, but a lot of people don't really know what it's called. And I was at church and this girl came up to me and was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Hi." And she's like, "Are you the confetti girl?" And I was like, and I knew what she meant when she said
Mm,
that.
yeah,
But her saying, "Are you the confetti girl?" definitely made me laugh. And so what was I gonna say? No, I'm not the confetti girl. I surely am the confetti girl. So I said, "Yes, I am." And you were like, "Oh my God, I love that song so much." And I was like, "Me too." And so like that was that's I
that's
guess those are my
awesome.
stories.
Yeah, that's a good story. The stories, plural.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media, Amber?
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Amber_Ace. It's AIS, not ACE. And then on TikTok, you can also find me on at Amber Ace, one word. You can find me literally everywhere, Amber Ace, honestly, if you look it up. It'll probably be there. Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all the things. Amber Ace. That's where you'll find me.
Any upcoming project in, next couple months?
Yeah, I mean, there are. I did just get a mix back from probably a song that will be on my next project, which I'm excited about.
Hmm.
Um, I was gonna release a project this year, but I felt like I needed to take not. I felt like I released all the songs that I wanted to, so I didn't feel the need to put out a whole project anymore. And then I started writing songs that I really, really loved. So those ones felt a little more important to me. And that project feels like something I'm still writing and something I'm still fleshing out. So in 2025, if you all keep up with me, there'll definitely be more stuff coming. So taking a little bit of a break to write and flesh out ideas. Um, but 2025 for sure. You'll
Gotcha.
definitely hear some stuff from me.
Gotcha. Thank you again for doing this
Of course.
and all the best, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so
All right.
much.
All right. Bye.